Is it unreasonable to regard Ichigo as one of the most superior protagonists in all anime? I think not. He is respected and liked by many due to him being an extremely exceptional protagonist. Rarely is it possible to find a main character that is stoic, mature, masculine, and responsible. We've all seen how much suffering he endures in the face of hardship in order to secure the safety of others, which leads me to question the reason behind his attitude and personality construct. Why is Ichigo so responsible? Why does he risk all he has to protect others? And why is he selfless? Stay with me as I decode Ichigo's psyche. I am pleased to welcome you to Kanjuro channel, where we mix psychology with anime, because I believe that wisdom should be taken from wherever it can be found, even in anime. Ichigo's sense of responsibility. Ichigo have shown a great deal of sacrifice in the interests of those he cares about and innocent people in general, which displays a high level of compassion, remorse, and sense of responsibility. But how did this feeling of obligation originated in Ichigo's psyche? The answer lies deep inside his memory. When one day Ichigo finished school, his mom picked him up from it to go to home while joyfully holding his mom's hand. As they walked beside the river, suddenly Ichigo noticed a young girl on the edge of the river. Attempting to save her from jumping, he ran to her. Surprisingly, the girl was just a bait. His mom ran following him in an attempt to save him. She succeeded, but unfortunately, it costed her her life. Ichigo opened his eyes to see his mom severely injured. The poor boy was extremely devastated by what he saw. He hopelessly kept trying to get his mother to respond, but to no avail. She left him forever alone with his guilt. What bigger suffering is it than to remain alone, face to face with your nightmare? As a result of this traumatic, life-threatening situation, Ichigo developed a post-traumatic stress disorder. The most major symptom displayed in Ichigo's PTSD is survivor guilt. Survivor's guilt is a particular kind of guilt that develops in people who have survived a life-threatening situation. Some survivors feel guilty that they survived when others did not. Others believe they could have done more to save the lives of others. And then there are those who feel guilty that another person died saving them. A more recent theoretical account of survivor guilt by Pythania in 2018, based on interviews with PTSD sufferers, found that survivors were caught in a continual battle to make sense of their survival, leading to persistent guilt and feelings of disentitlement to life. Survivors commonly reported a sense of wanting to repair or make amends in some way for surviving, but few had found a means to do so. However, in Ichigo's case, he found a way to make amends for surviving, which is protecting others. What's more interesting than this is the reason behind it. Ichigo said, "My dad told me they gave me the name Ichigo, which means to completely protect one thing you set your mind on," which indicates that as a result of this explanation by his dad, a vivid identity was built up in the child's mind. But it wasn't fueled enough by emotions, because in order for an identity to be deeply programmed in the subconscious mind, it has to have an emotional foundation, since the subconscious is an emotional mind. However, when Ichigo went through that trauma and experienced survivor guilt, he looked for a way to make his existence justifiable and legitimate, which is a constant battle that PTSD sufferers constantly fight, as mentioned earlier. Ichigo found a way, which is to make it his mission to secure the safety of others. He chose this path for two reasons. The first reason is Ichigo's guilt. Ichigo's guilt and trauma pushed him to do his best to prevent that unpleasant feeling from surfacing again if a loved one died. Humans react to present events using past lenses. In other words, human beings tend to judge present events based on similar situations that they have experienced in the past. When Ichigo sees an innocent soul in danger, he interprets the situation and reacts to it based on his past trauma that is similar to it, which is his mother's death. Which means that, in a twisted way, in Ichigo's subconscious, when someone is in danger, it's as if he's trying to save his mother all over again. This might seem irrational, which it is. However, the subconscious is reactionary instead of rational for the most part. This is well known in hypnotherapy, as mentioned in this article by Melanie Make, a hypnotherapist. The subconscious mind is not logical. It is the emotional mind. The feeling mind. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. After children are living and acting from their subconscious mind. This is why we don't use hypnosis in children under 6 or 7, as they are extremely open to suggestion and will take things literally. It's like Ichigo is reliving his trauma all over again every time he sees someone in danger. The second reason is Ichigo's identity. As I said earlier, an identity was formed when his parents explained the purpose behind his name, although it lacked the emotional foundation needed for that personal belief to become a primary personal identity in Ichigo's personality. After the trauma of his mother's death, his personal belief as a protector has developed an emotional foundation which fueled it to become a primary personal identity of Ichigo. Now Ichigo's personal image in his mind is of a protector of anything he sets his mind on. He chose to set his mind on protecting anyone exposed to danger because it is similar to his past trauma. This explains why Ichigo selflessly sacrificed himself to save Rukia from execution. He did an extremely risky effort while being significantly weaker than his opponents. Similarly, he went out of his way to also save Inoue Urihime from Aizen while enduring insanely high levels of pain and suffering. At one point, he was almost dead because he experienced all those wounds during his childhood. His brain biologically developed to operate that way. Childhood trauma can activate the body's stress response system, leading to the release of stress hormones such as cortisol. Prolonged exposure to elevated levels of these hormones can have negative effect on the structure of the hippocampus, a brain region crucial for memory and emotional regulation. Personal opinion about trauma. In my subjective view, I think that trauma serves a certain function. It might be for survival, as a way to learn from our past experiences and adapt to them, so we can better know how to survive. It might also be a mechanism that helps us sympathize with other people and therefore make us emotionally intelligent to spot any vulnerability or weakness one might be facing. In other words, there is wisdom behind trauma. For instance, due to Ichigo's PTSD, he became insanely brave compared to when he was a coward child. Also, thanks to his disorder, he rescued numerous innocent lives and secured the world of the living and encouraged his friends to do the same. Not only that, but the sympathy that he gained through trauma enabled him to build a healthy social circle that consists of friends who genuinely love and appreciate him and are willing to risk their lives for him. This was possible because people saw his sympathy, bravery, and heroism and were emotionally moved by it, that they admired him. Ichigo, a protagonist in anime, is considered exceptional due to his stoic, mature, and responsible nature. The roots of his sense of responsibility trace back to a traumatic incident where he lost his mother while trying to save a girl. This trauma led to post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and survivor guilt. Ichigo's identity, named after a duty to protect, gained emotional depth through the trauma. His selflessness and sacrificial acts stemmed from a desire to prevent the recurrence of guilt and a subconscious attempt to save his mother. Childhood trauma biologically shaped his brain, activating stress responses. Despite the challenges, the subjective view presented suggests that trauma serves a function, fostering survival, empathy, and wisdom. Ichigo's journey portrays bravery, heroism, and the creation of a supportive social circle through shared experiences.